What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GNS Trucking YouTube channel. Super glad to have you guys back. I hope you're doing good today. We're dealing with a lot of rain here. It has been nothing but a mess. So I don't know if any of you guys have been watching my little brother's channel, the Gentry Boys on YouTube. So you see he's come in here, he's cleaned all the axle up, painted it. We're trying to get this truck in tip-top shape. He went in and did the wheel bearings, put new brakes on it for me. He even painted the hub, which, you know, we'll get that thing good and hot and get rid of that. But I want this truck in tip-top shape. So we've got new Michelin tires on the front now. It's got new wheel bearings, new wheel seals, new brakes, the whole 9 yards. We're going to paint all the frame up, put new shocks on it. I'm actually going to put Kenny in this truck. So the thing's been sitting a lot lately, just running it when I run it. So my goal this week is to get this thing in good tip-top order for Kenny to go to work with. He's going to pull the step deck with it for now. The one issue that I have with this truck, the reason I don't like putting drivers in it, is it's a stout truck. It's like 800 horsepower. And the problem with 800 horsepower truck is they get good and warm. And it's got a new radiator on it. That's a 5-core radiator. And so a 5-core radiator should cool this truck no problem. I replaced the air-to-air, the radiator, the condenser. All that stuff is less than probably a year old, I'm guessing. So there shouldn't be no problem there with the cooling. That shouldn't be the reason why we're heating up. The only thing I can think is causing it is either that big cooler back there on the transmission. You see it right there? So, that's running my coolant through the transmission. So the transmission's building up heat going down the road. And so the transmission stays the same temperature as the coolant does. I'm thinking maybe that could be part of my issue with the engine getting hot. Also, this oil cooler could be an issue. It could be dirty and stopped up. The thermostat could be a problem. So I'm gonna go ahead and change the thermostat. So that's what my plan is today, guys. We're gonna change the thermostat. We're gonna pull the oil cooler off. We're gonna clean that thing up. And I don't know what to do. I want to put a different oil or transmission cooler on it. But I'm gonna see if this fixes the cooling issue. With just cleaning the oil cooler out and changing the thermostat, then I'm not going to bother with changing the radiator. I was going to put a bigger radiator on it. The truck we got up there at the house has a big 6-core, and I thought about pulling it off and putting on this truck. But if I can cool it down without doing that, because this is a new radiator, a 5-core should cool this truck no problem. If I can make it cool it and not have no issues with it, then we'll leave it like it is and just do that stuff. So that's what we're going to do today, guys. Devin's at school right now. He ain't going to be here to help us until after a while. But if you guys want to go follow him, I will put his channel down here in the comments. I think he's up to 5,000 subscribers. So he is doing some like in-depth maintenance. Stuff that I don't have time to do. It really works out with him doing it because he's learning it on top of going to school. And then plus he's starting him a little YouTube channel. Maybe that can be a little bit of income for him. So if you guys would be kind enough to go over there and subscribe to his channel and give him some watch time so we can get him monetized. I really think it would be awesome for him to make some money off YouTube. And then hopefully we can get him a truck. So my big plan was to give him a Cabover, something that he can do from start to finish and have his own Cabover, because he loves these Cabover trucks. That's why he's here with me all the time. My little brother is with me all the time. He's right here with these trucks, inside, outside. If I go racing, he's right there with me racing. I love my little brother to death, and I'm really proud for him getting to start this YouTube channel, and it's actually working out. So if you want to see some how-to videos, some maintenance videos, stuff that I can't do, we're going to do more of the trucking stuff. Going and doing loads. I'm going to start showing you guys how we do the loads. We're going to add a little bit of drama into the channel now. We're going to actually start showing you guys the drivers, our interactions with the drivers, the ones that want to do it, not all of them. what we do on the day-to-day, how we run this business. I want to show you guys how to be successful and not be in debt and be able to run this older equipment. I want to see cabovers become trucks again. I want to see fleets of cabovers. I want to see fleets of old 359s, 379s. I know a lot of you guys wanted to see the white cabover that I got from Bruce. Remember the cab I got from Bruce, the parts truck? Guys, you know, I'd planned on just selling that cab, and I was going to scrap the green truck, part it out, scrap the rest of it. No longer. So we're going to take that white cab and we're going to stick it on the green frame. And so that truck was already wired up for a Cummins, so it's a perfect fit. The cab should go right on there. The wiring harness should hook up, and that will give us another cab over to do on this channel. And I'm also thinking maybe letting Devin join in on that deal and let him work on it and put it on his channel as well. So let's go over here and take a look at this truck, guys, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. So guys, this is the green truck that I bought in Florida. The guy that I bought it from died right at the day after I bought it. So we had a problem getting the title and all that stuff. So the cab's rotted out, the interior's ruined. You know, there's nothing good in there. Maybe some switches and stuff and some gauges, which I'm going to be taking for the Air Force truck and putting in it. So there's a lot of stuff out of this interior that will go in the Air Force truck. And I was going to pull this air ride off and put it on the Air Force truck. But I have acquired an 8-back system that I can put on the Air Force truck now, so I don't actually need to take this apart. The engine is still complete. The only thing I pulled out of this truck is the transmission, and I put it in the single axle truck. So we're going to take the I've got an 18-speed. I'm going to stick an 18-speed back in this thing, and we're going to get the motor running. We're going to sandblast it, paint the frame, get it running, put some wheels and tires on it, you know, update all the airbags and all that stuff, shocks, and get it on the road. I just can't see myself letting another cabover go to the scrapyard. It wasn't sitting well with me, and I thought, God, there's got to be something I can do. And a couple of you guys commented on there, hey, what about the white cab that you got from Bruce? Well, all right, so here's the cab that we're talking about, guys. This is the International I got off Bruce. This thing, he actually had done painted it. I didn't even know he painted it. I don't know how I missed that video, but he had already painted this truck. And the cab's in really, really good shape, actually. So this is the cab that's going on the green. We're on the green frame. It's already wired up for a Cummins. This thing had a Cummins in it. I've actually got that motor and all the parts for it. We got a high flow radiator. All I got to do is put the doors back on it, fix a few little dents and dings, which ain't no big deal. But for the most part, this interior is in pretty good damn shape. So there you go, guys. We got a cab. Oh, I don't like that that's busted, but we got a cab for the green truck. So it is going to get to come back to life. We ain't going to have to scrap it. We can finally put that motor to good use. I don't have to use it on the dump truck anymore, because all it was some bearings. So we got a new rebuild kit for the dump truck, and I can keep that green truck intact. So a lot of you guys was worried about that, but that is the plan for that. That will come at a later date. Don't think that's coming right now. We've still got to finish the single axle truck and rebuild the Peterbilt. Like, there's some other projects that is way ahead of this one. But I wanted to give you guys an update on what was going on with that. And that's the plan with that. And for now, guys, we're going to go over here and get started on the Peterbilt. Get that thing done so Kenny can come here and get it and go get it cleaned up. So first things first, guys, on this deal, we have to drain some coolant out of it. So I do run the red stuff in this truck, that non-treated stuff. That way, you know, don't eat up your liners or any of the... I don't like no pitting in my motor. And we get a million plus out of these engines most of the time, and we don't have to worry about none of that stuff. So if you run a good antifreeze in your truck, you don't have to worry about it. And I actually run the Rotella, that red Rotella stuff. It's actually a really good antifreeze. It's expensive unless you buy it bulk, but it's good stuff. But guys, we're gonna get started pulling some bolts out, get this thing pulled apart, and I'm gonna show you guys what causes these cats to run hot, especially these older motors. So one thing we're gonna have to go over with Devin when he gets here today, he should be here about 12:30. This thing's gonna have to be turned. So you can see right now this hose is right here against the frame rail. He did have it zip tied right there, which that will not work either. So that's the only thing I've seen out of this whole job that he done that I don't like. Everything else, he's done a really good job cleaning everything up. I did have him go over it with like take a wire brush and some diesel and clean all of it up. This thing here needs greased. You can see it ain't got no grease in it. There's a few things that I see that it does need. So it needs a good grease job. We're gonna have to grease the kingpins, adjust the brakes. I'm sure he done that part of it. I haven't went back and looked at his whole video yet, but Dad did say it turned out to be a really good video. So like I said, so I did notice just now, guys, I just pulled the radiator cap off this truck, which could be part of the cooling issue, but I don't think it is. You can see this cap, there's some dry rot on like the rubber seal. And it really didn't have no pressure on it, like holding it. So if it's not building up pressure and holding like it's supposed to, that could be part of it. You want your cooling system to be completely 100% on these trucks, especially if you're sitting them out west like I do. So you get out there and this thing messes up on you. If you get a motor running hot, especially a 16 liter, guys, this block right here, it would cost me 30 grand to replace this motor, minimum. So we got to be very careful with this truck, this motor. So I don't let just anybody drive it. I can't afford to rebuild this thing all the time. I definitely can't afford to replace it. So we're gonna let this coolant drain, and then we're going to get in here and get this oil cooler off and see if that's part of our issue. I've seen an oil cooler before, guys, really cause some issues on these things. All right, guys, we're making some progress. So pull these bolts out. Them 4 bolts there had to come out. There's 4 9/16 bolts. And then you got your bracket bolts here. I'm gonna go ahead and replace the clamps on this deal. Ooh, I need to take that little bracket off back there. See the, well, I could just unplug the heater. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace all the clamps on this. And what's nice about, I'm gonna show you guys something. Well, I'm just gonna tell you. So you can go on your phone and actually go to your notes. All right, guys, and then if you go in there and make a note, and I always save it like whatever job we're on, I'll put it as that note. And then I can share that to my dad, to Devin. We all have iPhones. And so you can put your parts list, you can go and make all your notes, everything. Say, hey, I took this truck apart today. It needs this clamp, this bolt goes there, this bolt, you know, anything like that. So you can do all that kind of stuff with it. And if anybody modifies it, so say I take it completely apart and then Devin notices that we need an O-ring or something that I didn't put on there as part of what we needed, he can go in there and type that in and it'll automatically update on my phone. So using notes on these kind of jobs, especially when you got mechanics working, really helps out with keeping up with stuff. And it's free. It's on your iPhone already. It's, you know, it's in, so you ain't got to go spend crazy money on one of them tablet deals or whatever that a lot of these shops are doing. You can just do it in your notes and keep everybody updated through that. You can share it in an album. You can share it to the whole team. It don't matter. Everybody can get it. Even me and Cletus have a note together, like on the toter, when it comes to doing a service. Every filter number that I used, all the oil that I used, everything, we put it in there as a parts list. And so now if he goes and services, all he has to do is go back to that note and see where I put it all in there and what oil I used and what filter numbers I used. So it works out really well. So we got those 2 bolts out. We got to unplug this deal here. That's your block heater. It heats the coolant up when it's cold out. You can plug it up. These clamps are already loose. Just gotta pull those off once my antifreeze is down low enough. And we got 2 bolts. You got one here, if you can see that or not. And you got one up there, and then one on the inside, one on that. So that way you can pull the oil filter and all that stuff loose. You can just pull this off and slide the whole oil cooler back. And we'll get to see if it's stopped up, guys. Hopefully that's our issue. We can just rebuild this bad boy, put it back on, and our coolant issue's fixed. So I got all 4 of the bolts out of the bottom of the oil cooler, which there's one here, one on the inside, like I said, one there, one on the inside. And that's what holds like that's where I'll show you once I pull the oil cooler off how it goes to the oil filter housing. But just looking at this coolant, guys, and it looks a little bit diesel-y, like it's got diesel in it or something. So I'm gonna have to test that and see if it's got any diesel in it, which would be a bad thing. Could be like a liner, or not a liner, but an injector cup. Probably been an injector cup leaking. I've had that happen a lot on a Cat. I've actually had one catch on fire before because it had diesel on top of the coolant and it was pushing it out of the overflow. But these things ain't so bad. You can actually change the injector cups in a Cat with it on the truck. You can just I got a tool that screws down in it and it pulls it right up out of there, and then you push the other one back down in it. So changing injector cups on this thing ain't too bad. But so we got all the bolts out of it now. All we gotta do now is get the lines off and then pull this thing back and get it to where we can get it out and look at it and see how clean it is. All right, guys, so real easy. Like I said, it just sits right in there. Once I tugged on it the first time, it just popped right out, so I didn't really have a chance to get it on video. But Waddy's here helping us now. So like I said, just pull that out, lay it down. All right, so there's the rear cooler. Just the, this is where you can actually see a piston line right here. Show them a piston line. So that's how your rear piston liner gets coolant in it in the block. And I can already see this oil cooler is nasty. That's probably definitely our coolant issue. Even though this thing has really clean coolant in it. All right, so let me pull the oil cooler out. All right, so. Oh yeah, she's dirty. Now let's take it inside. So guys, this is what cleans, or this is what cools your oil in your engine. So coolant runs through these right here. And then on the outside, you get these little cools that, that's where your oil goes. And this coolant keeps your oil cool. It runs at the same temperature as the engine, pretty much. But as you can see, or barely can see through this thing, you can see all the nastiness. I mean, it's not nasty, but it's pretty dirty for, that's definitely not helping with cooling. So there it is, guys. That's the oil cooler for a 3406E. And that thing can cause a lot of problems if you start getting coolant in your oil or oil in your coolant. Right here is the issue. I know a lot of guys say you can't get that in a Cat. Bull crap. Right there is exactly how you can do that. So that metal is expanding and closing. Every time it heats up, it expands, or heats up and cools off, it's expanding, and when it cools off, it shrinks back down. So after time, you're going to get it can crack, it can get a hole in it. But you definitely got to clean that thing up. If you can look at it, you barely see anything through it at all. She's nasty. So what we'll do is we'll dip this thing, let it sit. Oh, dude, look at all that. Ew. Look right there. How nasty that is.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty.
So that's definitely contributing to the heating issue we're having with this truck. And it's not all the time. Like, it'll run 210 all day long. But it's when you get in a real long climb, it'll just keep going up, and you can have the fan on. Like, you have to run the fan on this truck all day when it's good and hot out. So we got that off now. We'll let that thing soak. We'll clean that thing out. Get some new O-rings for it. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the thermostats out of it now. And then when Devin gets out of school, we'll see if he can put it back together. See how he does with it. Can't wait to show him this thing. Like he was super psyched about doing this, but it's hard for me to diagnose something if I don't actually pull it apart. So that's the way I've been trying to do things is, you know, diagnose it. Either me diagnose it or Dad diagnoses it. Instead of just guessing with this thing. This is my baby. But a Detroit, if you tell me it's overheating, I can pretty much tell you why by just looking at it, running a temp gun on it. This thing here, it's a little bit different. So I gotta actually go hands-on with this truck. Anyways, we're gonna get to thermostats now. So next on the list, guys, we have got to pull the thermostats out of it. See what kind of thermostats in this beast. Oh man, right in the darn coolant bucket. Hey. Shoo-wee! Look at that big fancy turbo. Oh yeah. Still good and tight. Hey guys, this turbo is expensive, but I can tell you right now, it is the best turbo I've ever put on a cat motor. Big Borg Warner. So it's a S410SX, which is a big boy. And I'm telling you right now, the EGT stayed good and cool on this truck. This thing will make 80 pounds of boost, no problem, and it flat out rock and rolls. You can make 1,000 horsepower with this turbo. You can see its big exhaust housing on it. So and then it spools good too. It's not too big, so it's just actually just right. This turbo is about $2,000, but it is bad to the bone on a cat. The spool on it is just, it's instant. You just touch your foot and it's there. Bam! Guys, our little thermostat that we're looking for is right here, okay? It is right here behind this little thermostat housing, okay? So what we're going to do now, guys, is we're going to rope that goat right now. Oh man, look at that bolt. It's literally light. It's right there in the way. I'm just kidding, guys. Just having a good time with you. Trying to quit being emotionless. So Travis says I've been emotionless lately. Me and him's been into it. He's like having a second wife, really. So he likes to complain all the time. So he says I'm emotionless. So I'm going to quit being emotionless. I'm going to be funny all the time. It's so funny, you guys are just going to get tired of it. I like to change my voice. I like to do a bunch of stupid stuff. But we're going to have some fun with it. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Ooh, look at that. Let's get that bolt out of there. See, Devin? I've been telling Devin, like, damn, why are you putting music with your videos? And he's like, well, we'll make noises and stuff. I'm like, dude, they want to hear you grunt. They want to know how hard that bolt was to get out. They appreciate it more knowing. All right. So, anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and replace this hose when we have it off. Just so you guys know right now, I'm going to tell you right now. The hose is getting replaced. So if Devin puts this thing back together, which he probably will, because I've got a bunch of stuff to do this week before I go back to race week to get the stuff. I'm just trying to get it diagnosed, figure out exactly what's wrong with it. So when he puts it back together, it's fixed. You don't have to call me and be like, hey, I got it back together and it's not working. So, guys, if you see him not replace this hose, jump on his butt big time. Get in the comments and ream his ass. Alrighty, we got it out. It's a nightmare. We got it out. And just pull both pieces. Since, oh crap, what is that? The sensor? Yep. My bad, I didn't unplug that sensor. So we'll let that sit right there for a minute. But anyways, here's the thermostats. You can see, guys, this hook's right there at the top of the water pump. It goes in the side of the block again. So that's your front side of the block. There's the back side of the block. Let's take this thing inside. And See what we got for thermostats issues. This thing does have twin thermostats. Most of your cat motors, like 5EKs, I've had 1LWs, 2WSs. I've had a lot of them that just have a single thermostat. This one happens to have two. Let's yank this bad boy out of here. Holy moly. Guys, I found one of our issues. Guys, this thing has 210 degree thermostats in it. 210s. By the time this motor is 210, you're in a full climb. You ain't cooling this motor back down. It just ain't happening. So the fan don't even kick on to 215. And I always kick it on by hand at 190, 180. I never let it get hot. Especially when I hit a hill, I kick it on. So with the oil cooler being dirty, that's definitely not helping. We've got 210 thermostats, which has got to be replaced. You can see there's no pitting in this engine. Running good clean antifreeze in it, that helps with that. The front side looks really good. So I'm really thinking that's probably our two biggest issues right there. We cleaned that oil cooler out. We changed the thermostats down to 165s or even 180s. I think 180s would probably be okay. That way your engine at 180 degrees, both them thermostats should be fully open, letting that cool water or antifreeze come back through the engine from the radiator instead of waiting until 210 degrees. I mean, how do you cool that? Especially a motor that's 800 horsepower that was factory 600 to the crank. Now it's probably well over 800 to the ground. So that's definitely going to contribute to our issue. So we're going to go ahead and put new thermostats in it, guys. We're going to try to find some 165s. If not, we'll put some 180s in it. Do all new O-rings and seals, new hoses. Get some anti-seize and put on them bolts. Go ahead and clean this oil cooler out, put some new O-rings on it. And stick it back together, see if that helps it, which I'm sure it will. I mean, it wasn't out of control getting hot. It's just, if I'm going to put a driver in it, I want to know this thing, if the fan kicks on, that it ain't going to overheat. I want to know that it's just not going to overheat, period. I want to have the peace of mind knowing that if, hey, did he forget to turn the fan on and get it up there and get it hot? I can't risk that, guys. This thing's too sentimental to me. I love this truck too much, and this motor is way too expensive. So, but I will let David help me put it back together, guys. He loves working on this truck. This is one of his favorite trucks. So definitely go over to his channel. I'll let him put some footage up of working on it, putting it back together. And if you don't, you'll see it on this channel. So guys, that is going to finish up today's video. Thanks for tuning in and watching. And we'll have some more trucking content coming to you tomorrow. We're going to get wild and crazy because the burnout truck is coming back. And I'm talking better than ever. We're going to test this thing to the limits. Anyways, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.